I pledge to We are ready. Okay. I'm breaking up. Okay. We're going to call this open session to order. Work session to order. Ms. Vaughn, will you call roll?
Ms. Foster? Is she on?
Present.
Mr. Conover?
Here.
Mr. Heights?
Here.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Marston?
Present.
Ms. Hubbard?
Here.
Dr. Collins Adams? We have a quorum.
Okay, right. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda for tonight's work session.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Heights?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I move to approve the minutes from our September 9th open session.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Heights?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, Dr. Borschade, you have reports for us.
Good evening, Vice President Hubbard, members of the board, and to our listening audience. Before we begin the presentations, I would like to just talk about to provide a FEMA update and bring Mr. Schultz present so he can share our FEMA update, and then we'll go into the presentations.
Greetings, Board of Education, Superintendent Borschade, and audience members. Today, the Operations Department will be updating you on the tornado recovery efforts.
Yeah.
The work we do will always be guided by our goals because they provide clear direction and focus for the work that we do as a system. They help guide our decision-making and ensure that all stakeholders are working towards a common vision for student success. Here you see our strategic values, and it is important to refer to them as our shared set of beliefs and principles that help us think about the values needed to achieve our goals. When we have highly effective educators and leaders, joyful and engaged students, authentic family and community partnerships, personalized supports and innovative pathways, equitable and multiple sources of data, we can produce college and career-ready critical thinkers. Here you see our portrait of a graduate. The Operations Department exists in part so that all students can embody the competencies of a portrait of a graduate. Here is our agenda. We will cover the methodology. I'll walk you through our project statuses and then any next steps. SOPS worked with key stakeholders, FEMA, the insurance company, and the St. Louis Building Division. SOPS conducted walkthroughs and site inspections with key stakeholders to observe all damages, record, and note them. The next step would be the project creation status, and I'm here to tell you that all 12 projects have been created by FEMA. Insurance and FEMA have coordinated items into their scope of work, completing assignments between both processes. Mitigation strategies have been accepted by FEMA and added into the applicable projects. This next slide shows our projected costs. The highlighted schools show where damage costs exceed the deductibles. I would like to let you know that these costs are preliminary and they will change depending on a variety of different factors, some of which include mitigation. And mitigation measures include tornado clips for roofs, different tornado-resistant glass, upgraded gutters, moisture-resistant materials for inside the building as well. Here we have our category A, B, and Z status update. Category A and B refer to debris removal and emergency protective measures. Category A and B spreadsheets have been substantially completed. And what substantially completed means is that all known outstanding costs and invoices have been added to the spreadsheets. Cat A and B are currently being reviewed by FEMA, and Cat Z, which says total to be determined, those costs are not determined until project closeout. So once all the damages has been done, FEMA has given their money to the state has given the money to us, we're ready to close out and say all work has been done, then we do category Z projects. FEMA and our insurance company have been meeting regularly. Both parties are aligned, and insurance has provided all schedules of values. All projects are now pending insurance completion, and I have an update for you because this happened right before I got here. All projects have moved out of pending insurance completion to insurance peer review. That's the next step in the process. Some outstanding items before have been completed now. The photos and documentation for the Soldan Athletic Field, the schedule of values, and category A and B. Some remaining items include inventory items from SLPS that were damaged during the storm, and then the complete invoices from Republic Services, which I'm also happy to report we got all those this afternoon right before I came down here. So those are all done. And our next steps. Next steps are FEMA will continue to work through the projects. There are a couple of more steps left to go. And then they will bring all of those completed projects to SLPS. And then we will look at them, we will discuss with FEMA, and then we will put out a RFP for our projects to get contractors in. In summary, all FEMA projects have now been created, costed, and aligned with insurance. Updated figures are reflected across all schools. These are not final figures, however. Mitigation strategies have been accepted. Costs are being created by FEMA. Category A and B are substantially complete with preliminary costs identified, and FEMA and insurance continue to cooperate closely. Remaining tasks are limited to inventory documentation. The next milestone will be final FEMA review and presentation to SLPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Marston?
Will the board get a copy of the slides for this presentation, and will they be publicly posted?
So let me say this, there will be a full presentation during our board meeting, but I just wanted to give everyone a preliminary update.
That was mostly my question too. And I do think it would be appropriate to upload the slides for this session. But my other question is, can you tell me more about mitigation? Is it required? Is it just good practice? How does that work?
Mr. Watson, can you talk about mitigation, and then I'll jump in as well. And can you provide an example and then talk about mitigation?
So mitigation, some examples could include like some additional straps to our roof. It could be storm windows. What it does is add an additional layer, so in the event of a future storm, another storm, we would have those protective measures in place. It is a recommendation from FEMA that we accept it, and that's part of the cost analysis that they will provide us to provide that additional support coverage for our buildings in the event of a strong wind or any type of inclement weather.
And so this means that, God, keep us from any more tornadoes, but this would only go to the schools that were damaged in the first one.
That is correct.
Okay, so the rest of our schools would, you know, you can't control tornadoes, so they would still be vulnerable to one heading in a different direction.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll get into more details, but I do want to just explain that the way we are walking through this is we are able to repair what has been damaged. Okay, that is so key. We are able to repair what has been damaged. It doesn't make it new. We are able to repair what has been damaged. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, just in the future on these, can we make sure we amend the agenda when we're going to add reports to the meeting day of? That would be my only suggestion on this. I know Mr. Marston was saying something similar, but I just wanted to echo that. So, thank you.
I had a question. Years and years ago, I remember St. Louis Public School, some of the buildings were designated as fallout shelters. Will any of our buildings maintain that status, or after repairs, will they be a place where families can go in case of bad weather or some other type of emergency?
So in other words, do we have sister schools?
So that's a part of our emergency operation plans and procedures. In the event of a storm, that they are safe haven sites. Some of our buildings, as you indicated, they are even bomb shelters or tornado shelters just because of when they were designed back in the World War II times. But we are still working with our firms and especially with FEMA in regards to like some of these mitigation strategies. So that's something that we'll consider, and that's something that we'll follow up through with our superintendent to provide that information to the board.
My last question is in regards to supplies. The way the economy is going right now, a lot of our families, in particular the ones who were hit by the May 16th disaster, were in need of many resources. And I wanted to know if something unfortunate were to happen again, will our schools have the necessary supplies, or do we have supplies that are tucked away in case of situations like that?
Can you give us an example of supplies?
Well, just say, for instance, extra water, extra food, what have you.
Thank you for that question. One of the things that I have asked us to make sure of is that we do have, I want to say like earthquake supplies, so that we have additional water at each of the schools, and we have a resource room, if you will, that have, you know, additional food in the case of our students being stuck at the school, and we're working through that.
Okay, my last question, I think, would be in terms of energy. A lot of newer facilities or new housing have alternative energy sources. And so I know that we're repairing, as the superintendent said, our buildings back to its original or close to its original form. But is it possible that when we're doing this that we include some alternative energy resources to our buildings, just in case, like we said, if something happens, if there's solar panels or if there's wind panels or whatever, however you want to phrase it, for our schools, so that people can also go there and students can still function somewhat if the grid were to go down or something.
Those are all great recommendations. We would need to look at our budget to see the impact of that, to have solar panels and things of that nature, and then we can bring that back to you. Yeah, we could not include it in the RFP because it would not be restoring our buildings back to what it originally was. It would be something that's altogether different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great student project.
I just had one question, maybe two. If we are able to go back to the slide that has the 12 different costs for each project. I think we skipped past that pretty quickly. And as we mentioned, we didn't get this in advance, so just hoping that we could see those numbers one more time. And then, Mr. Schultz, if you could kind of just give an overview of what the insurance peer review process is, And again, kind of what expectations or expected timelines are that you can just kind of share with the community as well.
Thank you. I'm not sure I know how to go back to the slides. Oh, there we go. Perfect. There we go. And in terms of peer review, what does insurance peer review mean? That's a fantastic question that I don't really have an answer to right now. FEMA has various steps in their process. They go from, in this case, for example, they would do the insurance. Do we have all the insurance items necessary? They put out what's called a request for information for that. We provided that information. They look at that. They determine whether or not that meets what they were asking for. If it does meet what they were asking for, then it moves on to peer review, which I believe, which is the next step, and that would be where other members of FEMA within the insurance group review what the previous person had did. It's kind of a double check. And then it would pass to the next stage of that. And then the next stage of that is environmental and historical preservation. And so that is something that will be covered between FEMA and SEMA, which is the State Emergency Management System. They will combine to see if any of our buildings meet that threshold. And if they do, then they will pass those along to us, because those oftentimes do incur additional cost in historic materials and those kinds of things. I believe that was it. If there was another question I missed, please let me know.
No, I think you answered everything. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. That's
Thank
it.
you.
And we'll make sure to upload and then be prepared for our actual board meeting with more information. At this time, we're going to move into our next presentation, and that will be from our Human Resources team. Thank you, Dr. Berry.
Team, make sure you get ready. Good evening. With protocol already been established, we'll jump right on in. So this evening, we're going to bring you our 2026 proposal for our benefits renewal that we are going to ask for approval in our October meeting. So tonight, we have, of course, myself, but with us, we also have, bless you, we have Rebecca Anderson. She's our benefits coordinator. Teresa Lewis, she's our benefits specialist. And also joining us, our USI broker. We call him Mr. Duffy. He likes to go by Duffy. His name is Michael. So tonight, we're focused on 3 of our strategic values. We're looking at highly effective educators and leaders, authentic family and community partnerships, and equitable and multiple sources of data for tonight. So looking at our strategic values, this was that actually helps us make our student success goals, and in turn, help our teachers grow our students into what we define as a portrait of a graduate. So tonight, we will cover a few different areas. We're going to talk about the medical coverage. We'll look at pharmacy recommendations, our reasoning behind the recommendations, the cost, and our 2026 recommendations. So first, we're going to ask Mr. Duffy can come up and talk about our historical claims, and then we will move on with the rest of the presentation.
You're going to have to work that for me. I'm quite certain I won't be able to. Good evening.
Welcome, Mr. Duffy.
Okay, we're on the chart. So as we look at this, we're going to give you a historical perspective of over a 9-year period. So we're going back from 2016 all the way to the present. We don't have 25 on here because it's not a completed year. So that would be the only thing left off on this. You can, the column on the average employees, you can see that the number of employees has gone down. So you were at almost 5,000 in 2016, and today we're about 3,500. If we look at the total premiums, the premiums will go down because we have less people. So when you look at it going down, that's the only reason for that. But here's what is a good column to look at. So that premium, and it's PEPM, that means per employee per month. So this kind of makes it look like an average that you can say, okay, this is what 2016 look like? You know, so we're just looking at these premiums. So on these premiums per member per month, back in 2016, the premium was about $691. Today, we're looking at that same premium. It's $932. So that's what it's gone up. It's kind of important to look at the years. We had a couple of years where the premiums were pretty flat. So if we're looking at 19, 20, 21, we had the COVID years in there. The only reason they were flat is because people couldn't get in and see doctors and hospitals. Surgeries weren't being performed. So those numbers are artificially low. Now, what happened, though, is that doesn't mean they go away. It's just mean those surgeries were postponed. So then we start to see a climb. We start to see things start to climb up. So you can see as we progress down to 22, 23, and 24, those numbers went up. That's part of the reason for that. Then we look at your total medical claims, and then we try to look at these medical premiums per employee per month. So we see that the medical side of things, these are just claims, that we're seeing that they went from 414 all the way up to 714. Again, we had that lag for a while, and then it kind of caught up. And then we looked at medical trend. So what medical trend means is year after year, they're going to give a number of where they think, if I go in for a hospital stay today and it costs $100, they're saying in today's world, that same hospital stay will cost $109 next year. So they're saying it's a 9% inflation. Pharmacy works different. Pharmacy's going up at a significantly higher rate. We'll address that in a little bit, but pharmacy's going up, and then we try to blend it. So what is that? Pharmacy and medical trend combined? You're looking at somewhere in that 10 to 11% is what you're seeing for that. Now, if we take a look at your prescription claims, and I'm going to go all the way over to the RX per employee per month, because you can start to see there that we were down at 222, and now we're up at 417. If we see the medical, same side on the medical, that didn't double. Pharmacy's the thing that's really driving medical costs today. Pharmacy's going up at a significantly higher rate than medical. We'll address where some of those concerns are. And then, so if you kind of look at your graph below, it kind of shows where what you've paid in premiums to United Healthcare, which is your current provider, and where your claims are. So anything below, say that gray bucket, is just a profit for the insurance company. Anything above it means the insurance company lost. In the, according to the Affordable Care Act, they've allowed a margin of about 15% for insurance companies. So that doesn't mean 15% profit, but when you throw in their admin cost and their profit and their pre-certification and all those other things, they allow for 15%. At no time during this time period did the insurance companies make that 15%, which is more a testament that you bought right. So in every year we can look through this, and the insurance companies never made what they expected to make. And then if we take a look, if we come down to 23, 24, they lost. So that was 2 years where they have lost some money. So to give you an idea of what that means over time, you paid in about $348 million, almost $349 million over this time period, and your 349, and your claims were about $350 million. So United over this time period was about $760 million in the hole. Or 760,000, I'm sorry, in the hole. So this is a win. I mean, so anytime that you paid in less than they paid out, you won. Now, it doesn't mean they forget it, but it does mean that you won during this time period. This map here, this is historical claims. This kind of just goes over what I just did, but I want to tell you that there's two factors that people use to budget and insurance companies use. So they'll use medical trend, and medical trend is just what one thing costs this year and what it'll cost, what they project it to cost next year. Then they use this thing called linear trend. So linear trend for the CFOs is something like they want to forecast what something's going to cost 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, so they can establish their budgets. So linear assumes that whatever the trend is in year one, it will remain that way, and you take it out over 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. And that's how they could establish a budget. The truth of the matter, that doesn't work, because we can see in some of your claims that in some years, your claims were really great, and in some years they were really low. So if you use a linear trend, it's going to go like this, and your claims are going like this. Your claims is a roller coaster, and this assumes that it's a straight shot up an elevator. So we tend to use, when we're doing our projections for where we think you're going to go, we try to stick with medical trend. We think it's more predictable, more understandable, and plus we know that if we have your claims today, we know what's going on today. We have a pretty good idea what's going to go on next year because we can see what claims you have that aren't going away, that we know they're going to be there next year, and what claims were just one and dones. So if you have a knee replacement, it's a one and done. It's a big hit, but it's over. If you have cancer claims, it doesn't work that way. Cancer claims are going to be something more ongoing. So this trend just shows you what we really went over in this page right here. Oh, okay, you're ahead of me, Mara. You're good. So there's ways to finance your insurance. So there's really multiple ways, but the two most common ways just to finance it is fully insured. And fully insured really works like this. You get a set premium based on the number of employees. So I'll make it simple. It's $100 per employee per month to provide insurance. Times the number of employees you have, 4,000, you pay that amount every month. Regardless of whether you have a lot of claims or no claims, that's the amount you pay every month. Why companies like it? It's predictable. I mean, you can set your budget. You know what you're going to have to pay every month, a little bit less on months where you have less employees, a little bit more on months where you have more. So it has a high level of predictability, which people like. The other thing that it has is that if you go the other route, which I'm going to talk about is the self-funded route. If you go on the self-funded side, you got to set up a reserve because claims are not as predictable as they are on fully insured. Fully insured, you know what you have to pay every month. It's going to be in January, it's going to be exactly the same in December. But if you're fully insured, you pay an amount to cover the administration. So the administration is for United Healthcare to provide a bill, to provide ID cards, to process claims, to set up a PPO network, to set up a prescription drug list. So all of those things are kind of put into it. That's what they call a fixed cost. And then the variable cost is your claims. So you have to set up a banking arrangement where the insurance company can go in and pull money out to pay for the claims. So that money has to be there. And they normally would suggest that the amount of money, and I'm going to call it a reserve, the amount of money that you should put into a reserve if you're self-funded is anywhere from 3 to 6 months of claims. So in your particular case, that would have been 24 million to 48 million that you would need to have in a reserve. And this is money that you can't just use for other things other than insurance. So it requires a level of discipline to leave that money there and pay funds out of it. And hopefully at the end of the year, you never touch it. You know, you never touch it and you can continue to grow. You can't gamble with it, so you'd have to put it into in a safe position. So I'm not going to put it in a hot stock mutual fund. I'm going to have to put it in a low-bearing interest account. Painful, I know it may be to some people, but it's safe because that money has to be there. So the thing we have chosen over the last 10 years to stay fully insured, there's reasons. More predictability. a lot of times the cash reserves weren't there. And so it made more sense. Now, it makes me feel good to know that, okay, now I get a look forward instead of, from a look back, I can say, well, that was a great decision because it was $750,000 to your advantage. And I know with the claims coming up, or, seeing what we know is coming forward, it's even a better decision because the last 2 years have been pretty challenging. So that's where looking at fully insured or self-insured, what was a better decision? Now I know, I've got the numbers to prove it, that being fully insured has been a better option for the St. Louis Public Schools over this time period. I think, Myra, well, first off, did I explain it well enough? I'm not, the challenge with our business is, I talk this all the time with people, and then sometimes you just say insurance talk, and insurance talk doesn't work. It doesn't work for my wife, so I try to practice on her, and she really doesn't approve of that. She just says, okay, whatever, You've been doing this long enough, I assume you're better in front of people than you are in front of me.
Thank you, Mr. Duffy.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Duffy. And so I know we say this all the time, but just to make sure that we are aware, we are fully insured on our medical side, but we are self-insured on our pharmacy side, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. One of the reasons, too, why we stay self-insured on the pharmacy side, if we were to go to fully insured, we may have a large member disruption, so it works out better for our employees if we also stay self-insured, along with the cost would be so astronomical. So we are coming to ask you again, we want to renew with the same courier starting January 1 in 2026. This will be with United Healthcare. There'll be no plan changes. Originally, we had a renewal cap of 12.9%, but our brokers at USI, they were able to negotiate an 11.9%. And while I know it doesn't sound like a huge jump, it is great when it comes to our interest rates. In addition to, we will also keep our wellness platforms that covers our wellness coordinator and our programs. We will also have our EAP, and you may not know those that opt out of EAP as our employees, that opt out of our benefits, they still have access to EAP. So if you say, no, I'm on my spouse's insurance, I don't need your insurance, the district still pays about $3,500 annually to allow those employees to have free EAP services. With our prescription coverage, we would like to also stay self-insured, but we're going with the current plan. We are currently with United Healthcare, and this is through Express Scripts, through our Business Health Coalition. Again, we are self-funded, and this also helps us get rebates. We are expecting to get about roughly between $5 and $6 million in rebates that helps offset some of this cost. There are no rate caps under our pharmacy plan. There are no rate caps. Many of this and the increase you will see on here, about last year we spent about a little over $12 million. We are expected to spend a little over $14 million this year. As you can see, that's roughly about $2.3 million additionally. And we'll talk a little bit more, but it's due to mainly our GLP-1s and our specialty drugs. Those are the ones that, as Duffy mentioned, for cancer. Some of our premiums, just to give you an idea. So with that renewal cap of 11.9%, you will see that it's still an increase. Now, the majority of our staff, and I hope you have your papers in front of you because I know the screen's a little small. The majority of our staff, about 70%, are on the base plan, meaning it costs them $0 to be on the base plan. However, we do have additional employees who buy up on those plans, or they may have their spouses or their children on the plan. They will see additional increases. Just to give you a rough estimate, if we're looking at the employee plus spouse on just the first plan, we're looking at roughly an additional $115 a month. And if you are a 12-month employee, you're looking about $57.60, and you may say, well, why is 12-month employees cheaper than our non-12-month employees? Because their monies are taken out over the period of those 9 months because they still receive benefits over the summertime. All of our plans we will take out to market in the 2027 academic year. And some of the things we're looking at to offset some of the high costs that we see constantly going on in the medical arena. We're going to look at the GLP medications and then our In-Circle program. GLPs, just a rough reminder, if you do not know what our GLP-1s are, our GLPs, they talk about mainly for diabetes and for our weight loss drugs. They are the stimulants, they release stimulants for the brain. They have a gastric emptying. They also reduce blood sugar and also an insulin release. So looking at just over the cost for the last 2 years. Under the GLP-1s for our diabetes, you see that roughly stay the same. There was about close, maybe a few participants more. However, when you're looking at our weight loss, you will see that number more than doubled. We're looking at some of the drugs like the Wegovy's, the Zepbound. You may not know, but for a 1 month supply, just for 1 month, is costing roughly $1,050. And so that's the amount that the district is covering. The impact, so when we look at our diabetes for our GLP-1s, it's roughly over 70,000 increase from the 23 to the 24 school year, academic year. Well, actually calendar year for our insurance. But looking at our weight loss, you will see it's over $750,000 increase from the 23 to the 24 calendar year. You also see that the per member, that per member rate, it went up $41, as well as this accompanies for almost 72% of the total plan cost, just these two items alone. So what we are asking and looking into is the In-Circle program. And I know there's a lot of chatter and maybe some miscommunication, but it's really going to be a great thing, and it'll also help us keep our employees safe, and we'll talk about that. So with this program, it's going to also help control certain things, but when we say control, just making sure that our employees get what they need. So how do you qualify? Your doctor submits a request to Express Scripts. And able to qualify, you have to have a BMI, your body mass index, less than 32, or you can have a BMI of 25 to 32 with 2 comorbidities, meaning either have high blood pressure and diabetes, high blood pressure or sleep apnea, the 2 of those areas with that BMI. Now, of course, there may be some other factors, but you and your doctor could talk about that. Once you get that information, it's sent off to Express Scripts. Express Scripts then will notify that you are approved and enrolled. It will tell you that you are not eligible with the reasons why or pending more information from your prescriber. Various reasons why a person may not qualify. The BMI or comorbidity did not meet. The tiers of medication that this person needs, it may not be a benefit to that individual. Also, there are certain health conditions that will keep someone from getting it, and there are also sometimes step therapy rules, meaning you must do the first step before you can get the next step, before you can get the final medication. Now, reasons why we are asking to have this program. It's not just about cost, but we are asking to engage in a healthy lifestyle. You will get a scale, you will get a coach, you get weekly tools, you get tracking apps on how to track your A1C. You have to also make sure, though, that you are following the prescribed medications, that you are picking them up and taking them on time, that you're reporting side effects, and there will be check-ins and checkups every 6 to 12 months. But as far as safety tips, we want to ensure that these are only from approved sources, from approved prescribers that meet the FDA requirements, making sure that the prescriptions are valid, and also monitoring for red flags, meaning watching for unusual patterns, making sure that they are safe for our employees, and not just because this is so new, we don't really know the long-term effects. So we want to make sure that we are constantly being able to have them check in on and making sure that our doctors are aware of what's happening to our bodies. Just to give you an example, though, many school districts in our surrounding areas, they have cut GLP-1s from their programs because they are so costly to the district. However, we believe it is a benefit to keep the GLP-1s on our insurance, but we also want to make sure that we are doing right by our employees and by the district. And by doing so, we can help not just, again, with the diabetes, but regulating your blood pressure. Sleep apnea has been shown that people that with sleep apnea, when they use GLP-1s, it goes in a positive direction, opening up their airways, and also helps with their mental health. Again, there is a cost to this program. However, because we are members of the Business Health Coalition, they pay $20 per member into a small fund. With that fund, we are able to cover the cost of this program. Along with, we came to you earlier this year and we asked to join the InReach program. With the InReach program, we were being told that some of the local pharmacies could not keep up with the rising cost and the demand for the GLP-1s, and they were going to stop having, being able to go to their local pharmacy to get them. So our employees, bless you, would have had to go to a pharmacy that maybe 20 to 30 miles away from them if we did not opt into the InReach program. We opted into that program, and now there's additional layer we're asking to go into the InCircle program. There is an administrative cost, but again, this is no cost to the district because again, the money that they set aside from the Business Health Coalition will cover the administrative cost for the InReach program, so that's no cost to the district. We are looking to see maybe about a $1.6 million claim savings through this reduction, as well as we're trying to keep the future costs, because as we just talked about it with the increase, the future cost of medication to our employees, it is our intent to keep that down. Just some factors, as we know, because of our Missouri state statute, that we are required, the urban school districts, to offer the same rates to our pre-65 retirees. Meaning if our rates are $800 a month, if you are a retiree and you are pre-65, we offer you that same rate. Now, what you may not know is that the retirees, they are not allowed to have the zero cost plan. There's only a buy-up 1 and a buy-up 2 that are offered to our retirees. We do have a higher population of retirees, and also we do have a higher age, which we are so fortunate because our employees come to us and they want to stay with us and they want to work with us. Rebecca, are you ready? So I'm going to call up Ms. Anderson. She'll go over about 2 slides with us to talk about some employee assistance programs, our wellness programs, and a few things that we have coming up, and then we will open it up for questions.
And please pay attention to when she talks about our wellness and how many awards we've won.
Thank you. So with our United Healthcare, we still have the Employee Assistance Program, which Myra talked about before. If you do not know what Employee Assistance Program is, it is a program that helps our staff with life issues. It's free counseling. There's free living wills that can be created. There's mental health spaces. It's all free with our district, with United Healthcare, and we also have this program through New York Life, which is our life insurance that we use with the district. And with our wellness program, we have one of the best wellness programs in the St. Louis area. As of January 1, 2026, we will still continue this program. We have the wonderful credit through United Healthcare where we are able to have a United Wellness Coordinator. We have a wellness platform. We have a dedicated wellness resource to assist with our wellness initiatives. We also have our monthly wellness challenges, which you probably are tired of us emailing you about. We have our monthly newsletter. We take mental health we're very focused on mental health, and this year and next year we're going to make sure we have new mental health programs in place for our staff members and so much more. With the awards that Dr. Borchade was referring to, in the past we have placed 3rd place for the healthiest employers. And we did get an award for American Heart Association, and then we received gold level recognition for the past 3 consecutive years. Now, we do not have the new numbers for 2025, but we are hopeful that we still place first. We still get our discounted fitness memberships. We started Zumba for the district, and in October, we are having our annual Health Fair Wellness Fair in October 10th, 2025, so sorry about that. And then also, for the first time, we are doing mental health first aid training for the principals. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And so with our ancillary renewals, we are asking for the same carriers as well. And for our ancillary, we have the dental. For our dental, we have VPA, which is Vision Benefits of America. For our vision, as well as our basic and life and long-term, that is through New York Life Company. So we are asking to keep those as well. Just briefly to talk about the district responsibility, you will see again that We are in a standard formulary, but it's not as standard as other districts are, which allow us to have access to various medications. Again, if we were to go outside of our standard formulary, we have about maybe 500 prescriptions that'll be disrupted, a little over 300 staff members that will also may have to either find different medications, which could cause our health claims to go up because they may have reactions. So we are asking to stay with the same course that we have. You may see here that last year it was roughly for the district's portion about $44 million. We are projecting that it's going to cost us about $50 million for this year. Again, with the district, that's proposed to be about $45 million. So the $50 million is totality with district and employee, and we are looking at what the district cost is going to be about $45 million. This is about a $5 million increase from last year, and the majority of that would be on our pharmacy side. This is just the same proposal that we talked about. So you will see this was based off about 3,200 employees. And then the per member month, you will see there's a difference about $100, as Duffy explained earlier. And again, it's about the $45 million proposed for the district's portion, but in totality with our district and our employees, we are looking at about $50 million. So our renewal recommendation that we are bringing to you, we are asking you to approve no plan changes for our medical with United Healthcare. We are also asking for, we are going to go out to bid for our broker services in September. We have been with our broker company for about 10 years, but we are going out within board policy to do a bid for our broker services. We are asking for no plan changes with Express Scripts to keep also and add our In-Reach and In-Circle program. Again, that's through Express Scripts. And then lastly, we are asking to keep and have no plan changes for dental, VPA, and our short-term and long-term and life insurance. And Ms. Anderson already talked about, you want to come up, Teresa? Okay, Ms. Anderson already talked about the Wellness Day. We are asking you, we're excited this year. It is going to be during the school day. You know, normally it is on a Saturday, and many of you do come and visit. We will have it during a PD day this year, and so we're going to see how that goes. And be sure to give us your suggestions. We are open to them, because if we need to go back to a Saturday, we will, but we are certainly looking forward to having more staff join us this year. Open enrollment, that will be on October 21st, tentatively through November, as well as our initiatives are kicking off this year. And that will conclude our benefits portion.
Thank you, Dr. Berry. One of the things I want us to think about for next time is IVF.
Yes, did you want me to respond on that now? Okay, because we have.
I just want us to consider that. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, Ms. Donna.
Yes, I do have a question. The plan looks really good, but my question is, most of our staff spend a lot of time at school, so the environment, I know, would affect their health. And I'm just wondering, does the wellness plan consider perhaps creating exercise spaces within the schools themselves? Do they look at the diet that's provided at the lunch hour or the breakfast hour? Because many of the students, even one mom got up last week, not last week, but at the last meeting and said something about the food that was being served. And I've had several students as well, and I know that the staff consumes the same food. And there are a lot of processed foods that they are consuming, which would affect their health. The cost of drugs are very, very high, and I wanted to know, does the plan include natural medicines as well, or do they allow for employees to go to a natural health doctor versus someone who's going to charge them $100 for one pill? That's what I wanted to find out. We also have so many empty SLPS buildings, and there was a lot of talk about selling buildings and what have you. Before we do that, I'm hoping that we can have a campus in the North St. Louis and one in the South St. Louis that's purely dedicated to the health of the employees as well as the students, where they can come and go swimming and just take care of their health issues so to utilize what we have. But I'm really interested in finding out about the diets that would be provided at the school every day to help our employees become much more healthier. And many of the students complained as well, they said their teachers did too, about having to consume milk every day versus having a choice of beverages to drink from to maintain their health. So that was my question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for those. I will start with the bottom. We are hoping that we can find some money. I agree with you. When we did some visits with the Council of Great City School, there was one campus that had solely designated, created their own like hospital on campus that was solely for their employees. And ideally that would be wonderful. So I certainly wrote that down and I'm hoping that we can figure something out. As far as the natural health, yes ma'am, I know an employee for certain that utilized a holistic doctor. Now I can tell you sometimes those get into a space of almost like when you are going to get the acupuncture. So it depends on what type of doctor that is. I don't know, Duffy, if you have anything you want to add to that, but I do know sometimes those specialty doctors are outside of what the insurance will cover, but I do know some prescriptions for some of the medications and supplements are sometimes covered. Am I?
No, I think you hit it right. I mean, one of the challenges. Can you go to the mic? Oh, yes, please. One of the challenges in bringing in the natural health in them is United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Aetna, all of them contract with doctors. And there's challenges when you try to bring in, they've allowed, for example, chiropractic, but for the most part, they make them out of network. And then when you try to go to natural health, you get a lot of resistance from the physician and hospital community in going outside the norms. And so they have been open to adding them as out-of-network providers. The challenge with that is if you go out-of-network, the deductibles are high, and then it's covered at like 70% instead of a copay, so people tend to not do it. I'm with you. I would much rather see that, and this has been a discussion that's been ongoing for virtually as long as I've been in the business. The chiropractic community has made inroads, so you see them being more in network. But it may take a while for the other folks to be able to become in network. I'd like to be able to tell you something different, but that wouldn't be accurate.
In terms of wellness, this is my last question. It's about educating the students as well as the staff up on healthy things to eat. So when they're sitting there eating their lunch, is it possible, you talked about millions of dollars that are being spent, that they can have presentations on some kind of TV or screen where they're talking about if you eat an apple a day, if you drink this, so many glasses of water, so that our students and the staff will stay alert as to what they're putting in their mouth.
Yeah. Now, there's one area where the insurance companies are getting better, and they're giving resources. Myra, what do we have? 100? Oh, I'm sorry.
But that falls in our nutritional services.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be under facilities and operations, so.
Yeah, but the insurance companies are giving money to provide for initiatives in the wellness space. And they are coming out with the videos, as you mentioned, and doing things a lot better than they used to do. So that is some things, and you have a person dedicated to the St. Louis Public Schools, and we can make sure. Myra keeps moving on me. I'm not sure where she is. That we can ask that wellness coordinator to put more emphasis on that. So that is something that's doable.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yes, and I was going to say that Chief Watson, I know his department is focusing on that, so we'll be sure to tag team, especially if we have some funds, it sounds like, that we can assist with. And then I think there was one more question, the wellness spaces. So if you remember the COVID funds, when they came in, ESSER funds, we were able to use, and we created wellness rooms in many of the schools. And so I don't know if you had a chance to visit, but there are some beautiful rooms where they have like exercise bikes, they have meditation spaces. So there are some really great rooms in all of our schools, so we can can certainly make sure, and we do visit to make sure that they are being utilized and how to help them better incorporate that into the daily functions, because you're right, mental health is real.
I did visit, where were we at? Yateman. And it was really, Gateway STEM and Yateman as well. They had a really nice room dedicated to that. But the thing that was lacking always is the student space. So if we would really please consider that, because it was kind of empty. And I'm hoping that we'll start furnishing their rooms and make them look welcoming.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Mr. Conover?
Yeah, just 2 questions real quick. Is the associated item with this presentation 1234 on the consent agenda?
I don't have it right in front of me.
Dr.
It
Borsche.
should-
Sure.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And then secondary question, is the anticipated increase in cost something that we planned for in this year's budget or no?
I will lean over to our CFO. I know every meeting that we've had with our brokers, we did talk about that. So I know the anticipated cost. I don't know if the budget is actually completed, but we can certainly, I'll lean over to our CFO.
I guess it would be for next year, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did preliminary budget for an increase
Okay.
as we work closely with HR. So we have to readjust if necessary what that true cost now is, that rate. But I think we budgeted very well for it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Anybody else? Ms. Foster? No? Okay. I have a question, perhaps a statement. And I know that we can't fix it because money doesn't grow on trees. But if I understand the Encircle plan right, if you go on that so you can get medication that saves your life, changes your life, you have to submit to a higher degree of scrutiny.
So, not really. So if you are on the medicine, for instance, and it's only for weight loss, right? You would not have this for diabetes. It's only for the weight management portion. And so if you already have a BMI over 32, then yes, you will go on this, your doctor submit it, and it's just to also ensure your safety. So you don't have to do any, I wouldn't call it scrutiny. I would call it, hopefully, those of us that are using the medications now, you are talking to your doctor at least twice a year. Hopefully with your doctor, you're checking in on your BMI. Hopefully with your doctor, they're telling you any side effects, right? And so there shouldn't be any changes. This is just to help with some of the fraudulent activities that may exist, and to also ensure that those of us that are using medications that are not visiting doctors, we are visiting doctors to ensure that it is safe for us.
How do you get medications without seeing a doctor? I mean, wouldn't it be illegal then? I just
Yes,
don't
that's
understand
okay.
that
Just
part.
like, and I'll bring in, for instance, you have doctors that if you give them an FMLA packet, they'll charge you $125. They'll fill it out. They don't know who you are. They never seen you. They won't see you again, and they'll complete it. So you have doctors who will fill out your prescription. You pay $100. You get your prescription, and you go on about your merry way. You may see 2 or 3 doctors, so now you're on 3 and 4 different medicines. So now it's messing with your systems, and all kind of things could happen. So unfortunately, there are people that try to get, and I say people, not our employees, there are prescribers that try to get around the system to make money without caring about the actual individual.
Okay. I do want to note that BMI has been proven to be a racist measure. We can't change the world, but I am very sad that that's part of the surveillance when it has little real value when it comes to a person's health. So I'm glad we're not cutting them completely. And I want all our employees to know that we value them and that I wish I could change the healthcare system.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dr. Berry. All righty. And so at this time, we will have a presentation from our finance, who will be going over the budget for the Board of Education. All righty.
Good evening, Vice President Emily Hubbard, other board members, staff, and guests that's in the audience, and our stakeholders online. Tonight, I will be providing an overview of the board's FY26 approved budget. Our budget was approved by the board back in June 2025, and Finance has met with every cabinet member and respective school to go over their approved budget. So now it's your turn. Just going over the agenda real quick. What we're going to be providing is your budget breakdown based on object description, amount, historical vendors, and then looking at fiscal recommendations to either increase or decrease that budget line, and then talking about the next steps. As before, we have 6 strategic values that we've tried to align to. For finance and for this presentation, it will be authentic family and community partnerships and equitable and multiple sources of data. Our goal, as always, is to ensure the competencies related to a portrait of a graduate, and finance plays a big part in that to ensure there are adequate resources to support this vision. Let's start with the budget overview. For the board, or in every budget, is looked at based on a location. For the board, your location number is 8,000. Under this location, there are 9 object descriptions, and there is 1 separate project for legal settlements. Your total budget that was approved for FY26 is $3.9 million. Of that $3.9 million, $433,000 is for those 9 description areas, and we'll go through line by line. The remaining $3.5 million is set aside for all of our legal settlements that we are anticipating or budgeting for. Let's talk about the first line item, election services. Right now, we have budgeted for you $200,000. What is this budget line? These are expenditures relating to services of election within the school district. Who are the vendors? The Board of Election Commissioners. Our actual expenditures in FY24 was 0. In FY25, we spent $102,000. Can you touch upon the actual link? So what you see here is the documentation that shows the actual expenses. In this presentation in the back, there is a link that has supporting documentation, but I wanted to show you guys, like, you know, historically. So this right here just shows the approval of that $189,000. If you go down, this is from the Board of Election, and it states to the school district what the costs are related to elections. And so this is something that we expect to occur every other year, but it depends on elections. So our fiscal recommendation is for this particular line item. It depends. Do you want to increase or decrease that funding? It really does determine if we're going to have some sort of election this fiscal year, FY26. Yes.
So just to be clear, here you're referring to the elections that the voters of the city take part in to elect the board members, is that correct?
That's correct.
Understood. So those elections happen, there's 2 in one fiscal year, and then there's 1 in a separate fiscal year. So I would imagine, unless the Board of Elections says it's different, that 1 year it would be double the cost, and then the opposite year that we have to pay, it would be half of that, whatever that doubled cost is. And I can't imagine those are changing significantly unless there's new incurred costs to the Board of Elections. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct, but it also depends on how many are running and what those
Sure.
increased
Yeah, yeah.
costs are. Yeah. So this
Understood.
is just based on, we increased this line item because it was 182,000, and we did an increase inflation factor to 200K.
And so I'm understanding correctly, this is the cost to the Board of Elections Commissioners for running the election,
Yes,
basically?
that's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
The second line item is other professional and technology. We have budgeted 120,000 for that. Brief description of this is these are expenditures relating to professional or consultant services not specified in other purchase services commitment items. It does exclude technology-related professional services. So who are the vendors? For this particular one, we're talking about our legislator, Steve Carroll, MSBA, and Election Plus. Historically, we have both in FY24 and FY25, there's been a little bit of a decrease in cost. We have for FY24 about 199,000, and FY25 it was 101. If you can connect to that link. So here I just wanted to show just one invoice that we have received back in March of 2025. As you can see, the first line item of $7,300 is for Steve Carroll himself. In addition, there is Steve Carroll hires an additional consulting, which is Rodney Hubbard Lobbying Services, and for this particular year, his services were $15,000. And so it could either be looked at under Rodney Hubbard or his company of SIETE. But I just wanted to show this is an example where you have what we're paying Mr. Carroll along with what we're paying for the consultant service. If you can go down.
And she said that was last year, because now it's not 733, it's now 10,000 a
Yes.
month.
And this is a invoice that shows our MSBA dues. As you can see, for FY25, we paid 18,000 and some change. And that's for consulting for MSBA to come in and support the district. So our fiscal recommendation increased due to additional cost. For instance, we did not have budgeted in the previous years the Robert Hubbard SEIT costs, so we want to make sure we have those consulting costs built into the budget. So our recommendation is to increase. Currently, Steve Carroll's contract is $110,000, and then we have an extra $10,000 that's related, but it won't be enough to cover.
Currently, his contract is 120.
120, I'm sorry. 120.
His company's contract.
His company's contract. And so our recommendation is just looking at some of the other vendors and possible costs, we're recommending to the board to increase that line item. Out-of-town travel and conferences, we have budget for $40,000. Again, expenditures are related to transportation, travel, meals, hotels, registration fee that the board will incur when they travel and go to conferences. Who are the vendors? We listed some of the airlines, the MSBA, and some of the conferences that have been attended in the past. In FY '24, there was about $42,000 in actual expenditures. In FY '25, there was about $9,300. Additional information is, again, we're looking at the cost of conferences that you guys may want to go to, and then the increase in airfare and hotel stay. Fiscal recommendation, it depends. If you think $40,000 is enough to cover your anticipated travel to conferences, then it should remain. If not, we can decrease that. And just as a point of contention, not contention, a point of information, that travel policy, DLCA, which talks about travel expenses, every travel expense, every employee of SLPS follows the same policy. For the board, we're saying that Ms. Vaughn is actually putting together your travel packages, submitted to the district. We look at the travel package just like we would do any other travel, and then we make sure that it falls within the travel guidelines in terms of airfare, hotel amount, and then anything related to mileage and parking fees and meals you pay up front, and then you get reimbursed on the back end with proper receipts. Any meals that you incur must follow the guidelines. For instance, for breakfast, no more than $10, lunch $15, and dinner $25. Total per diem for meals is $50. If you do have meals included in your registration, just as what we do with our employees, that is not supported.
When you say not supported, meaning there will not be a per diem for that?
That's correct. Meeting expenses. This line item, we have allocated $8,000. And these are expenditures related to food and supplies for meeting expenses. Like if you have some sort of board retreat, this covers that. I just wanted to bring to your attention, we have a food policy guidance. It tells you everything in there, how the requirements are for purchasing food. And again, the board and SLPS has to follow those rules. Thank you. We recommend a decrease in this area just because when you look at the FY24 and FY25 amounts, FY24 you were about 6,100, but FY25 you were 3,100, and we have allocated 8,000. Mileage, we have budgeted 7,500. Again, these are expenditures related to auto allowance for SLPS employees at 70 cents per mile, and that is the IRS current rate. Here is the link to the IRS document that talks about the mileage and the rate, so I've just linked that. As you can see, historically, FY24 and 25, there were no costs against this. So our recommendation is to...
We'll look at that again.
Okay.
When I say look at it again, we'll look at the historical actual expenditures for '24.
Okay. Well, so, but our fiscal recommendation is to decrease. Okay. Another line item is postage at $1,600. These are expenditures related to postage, stamps, and postal meter rental. Vendors are U.S. Mail and other mail services. Historically, we see in FY24 and 25 there were no costs, mainly because the district kind of covers stamps, and we don't, everything now is also electronic, so there's not a lot of quote-unquote mailing that goes out. I guess maybe for an election it probably would be, but we don't incur much of those costs. So we're saying our recommendation is maybe a decrease in that particular area. Let's talk about memberships and dues. we currently have budgeted $50,000. Now, what does this include? This includes expenditures related to membership dues or SLPS, employees, and professional organizations. Some of those vendors are Moasbat, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that, NCTA, Women We Admire, and NIAAA. Historical expenditures have been $4,300 for '24. For '25, there has not been. And will you mind pulling up? This is just a report that comes from our financial system that actually shows the cost and some of the memberships dues that were paid out. And as you can see, the total amount was $4,300. So, of course, when we're looking at that compared to $50,000 as a line item, our fiscal recommendation is to decrease that line item. The last one is general supplies. You have a budget of $5,000. Again, this is related to purchases of supplies, including, well, furniture and equipment costing under $500 per unit, and items that are not found in the warehouse. For instance, if you guys are looking for a desk, if we don't have it located in the warehouse, then it's considered a purchase of furniture, but it must be under the $500. The vendors are Amazon, Shutterfly, Office Depot, Sam's, some of our common vendors. Historical, actual expenditures in '24 was about $6,400, and '25 about $2,200. And again, this is a report that was pulled strictly from our financial system, and it just shows the different vendors and the different items that was ordered. Our recommendation is to decrease that line item, just based off of the FY25. Tech supplies under $5,000, between $5,000 to $1,500. These are technology-related expenditures for supplies under $5,000. Example includes iPad covers, keyboards, laptop cases, monitors, mouse pads, etc. Our vendors are Amazon and Zoom. Historic, '24, we spent $112, and FY25, $325. Additional information, we don't have it, but we can pull that up to show exactly what was purchased. And in terms of our fiscal recommendation, we are recommending a decrease in this area, just based off the FY24 and '25 actual expenditures. Now let's talk about the big one, which is our legal settlements. This is the biggest part of that budget, which is at $3.5 million. These are expenditures related to district legal settlements. Who are the vendors? Multiple vendors, multiple persons, multiple cases. Historically, in '24, there was $2,000 and then $184,000. And I'm going to explain a little bit more how that related and how we have combined that line item. And then in '25, we had $3,500 and $957,000. Costs were charged to two different project codes and two different locations, meaning when we say location, Board of Education and or legal services, so it could have been two different locations. So our recommendation is to increase pending funding availability. And so I'm going to go into a little bit more of the history. In FY24 and '25, budget under legal services and location 8060, there were settlements and services under one budget object code. FY26 changes were implemented to better account for the settlement versus services. Settlements will now fall under the board location of 8,000, and services for additional legal services we may incur will now fall under the legal location of 8060. This helps us to provide better tracking and monitor of expenses and for reporting services. Please remove that. Okay. And then right here, what you have is the FY24 budget, 25 budget, sorry, FY25 budget. I put there in here for reference, and the FY24 budget. And then again, here's the link that basically links to all of the documentation that I shown you. Any questions?
Yes, I do have a question, please. So what we've just been presented with is the budget for the Board of Education, correct?
Yes.
Our budget. Okay, so many of these items, I mean, we had, I got a superficial copy a couple weeks ago, and I was still wanting to know details, like you had to just take that one down, because the board, to my best understanding, doesn't determine how much money goes into the board's budget. I wanted to know for the last year, how much are we paying each person that is coming under legal, with the legal services? I want to know as well, being a board member, are we allotted the same amount of funds that the superintendent might spend on her travel, that we be allotted the same, because we are serving free. I appreciate what I'm doing. I love serving the district, but I don't have the same funds as other folks do. And I would appreciate it to be considered in that. And you keep talking about the board, but many of these things we don't even get to see. I would really like to be updated on these kind of things, because we're asked to vote yes or no on these items, and a lot of them I'm just up in the air about
So
what we're doing.
Board Member Jones, you raised some very good questions, and since I've been sitting in this seat, I have heard the board say that they have never seen their budget over the course of several years. The board has never seen their budget. And so in talking with the finance team, I said, let's present the board with their budget so that they can see, just like every department has been able to see their budget, the board needs to see their budget as well. And so that is what this presentation is about tonight.
Right, but still, I'm still not completely satisfied to me that I don't see the details, because I'm looking at some of the people that we've hired for legal, and I'm understanding that they get paid a certain amount of money every month that comes out the board budget, that when people hear the board budget, they're thinking, oh yeah, they spent this, they spent that, but we're really not in control of that. So I want people to understand that, because I didn't vote on any of that, and who's going to get this and who's going to get that that comes out of the board budget, and I don't understand the monies that coming out the membership. What are we getting for the board membership? I don't recall receiving any kind of membership papers or magazines or anything like that to help me become more educated as a board member. So I'm just saying, we're talking about the board budget, but as a board member, I'm not really educated on all of the items that the monies are being spent on, and it bothers me.
So I appreciate that. I want to also say that in October, 5 of the board members will be attending a conference, an MSBA conference. That's part of our membership. And so in order to participate, there has to be a membership fee. I didn't even see that membership fee listed in the board budget, but we have 5 board members who are going to be participating in that conference. And so this is an opportunity for the board to share and say, this is what we want, this is we don't want, we want to see more details. This is an opportunity for that to happen. And we can also take it to the committee, the budget committee, for more questions and more details.
I know, but I still would like to see the budget, that our secretary has more power over what's going on with our budget versus another department, because I think we'll have a better understanding of where the money is being spent. And I can appreciate that.
And I will add that we approved the budget when we approved the big annual budget. But again, that's not, there wasn't that much information inside the approving to be like, oh, this is for stamps, this is for whatever. But we did approve it, and we could have cast our eyes over the, whatever sub-budget was in the annual budget.
I'm not clear what you're saying, Vice President Hubbard. What do you mean?
I mean, that we have had the opportunity, perhaps not in great detail, to see the board budget in the bigger annual budget that we approved.
That's the problem. That's what I'm talking about, the bigger. And I want to see some details. I want to see line per line item. Because why ask me to vote on something and I don't get to see the details? Because if I could see the details, then I would have some real questions that are very important.
Can I comment?
Yes, please.
This is for your transparency, and when I'm asking you to increase or decrease, it's just a recommendation. You as a board have an opportunity now to increase your line items within your entire budget. And it's based, your budget is built just like everyone else's budget is built on historical data. What were your expenditures in '24 versus what were your expenditures in '25? And then we put in a cost increase, an inflation increase, to say, here's what we think you should budget it for this line item. For instance, the conference that was just referenced, that falls under the travel budget of $40,000. So when I say increase and decrease, that means you guys still have the opportunity now to say, we want to take money from this line item that we know historically we have not used that amount of money and put it in another line item. Everyone who has a budget has the same opportunity. This goal today was just to provide a more transparent, give you understanding of your budget, and ask you to consider where you guys want to either increase or decrease your line items or remain the same.
And then I just want to ask, Board Member Jones, you've been on the board the longest. How many times have you been able to look at your budget like we are talking about today?
Not one time.
Okay, so this is
Not one time.
This is progress. This is why we're doing this, so that you have an opportunity to share with us. No, I don't want that, or we don't want that. We want to increase this line item. We want to decrease this line item. We want more explanation on how this has been done or spent in the past, and we want to do things different. So this is where we are today, making sure that everyone understands their particular budget for their department.
Okay, and I just would like to ask my fellow board members when we have our board training that we just do just that. Because this is the first time, and for years, I've been here 19 years, and this is the first time we've really had a time where we could ask the details about the board budget and who's determining how much the board is spending on what. Thank you.
I consider that as progress. Thank you. I think Board Member Foster has a question.
Ms. Foster?
Yes, thank you, Superintendent. I think emphasizing maybe a comment that was said to Ms. Johnson, do you have plans on submitting any further recommendations or future recommendations specifically to the Budget Committee as well? And then I think too, if anybody can clarify, is that within the scope of the Budget Committee to review the Board of Education's budget? Again, I know it was mentioned tonight that Ms. Vaughn typically manages the Board of Education's budget. So I'm just thinking about and wondering what like our actual processes are in place, and hoping that we aren't again kind of just like reviewing, changing off of a whim. So just any clarification that you can provide on if this plans on going to the Budget Committee for future recommendations.
Absolutely.
Because tonight
Yes.
it seems like we have recommendations.
Absolutely. This will go to the Budget Committee, which was just formed to have review when we start to develop your FY27 budget. And we can sit down with you individually or together as a board and go through this line by line and have you guys make decisions on whether you want to adjust or not. When I said Ms. Vaughn, meaning Ms. Vaughn is the one that all of the travel goes through, and she initiates the travel in terms of for the district. We cannot do it.
Board, not the
For
district.
the board, sorry, for the board. She is your board secretary, so she is the one that initiates the travel, make sure the packages are together. In terms of your budget, we manage your budget with your input, meaning if you want line items to be changed, decreased, we would adhere to that. But right now, what we're doing,
I want to clarify something. When we say Ms. Vaughn only responds to the request of the board for the travel. She doesn't initiate it. She responds to the request of the board to make travel plans.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna jump in again so we can like refocus on. I think my question is around the processes of what we're talking about right now, because again, tonight we are getting recommendations on changing the Board of Education's budget, but it hasn't been brought to the budget committee. And so I want clarification on if that should have been or should be within the scope of the committee, to then make a recommendation to bring it to the board further.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Ben.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the change with the legal services filing. So I understand that you wanted to separate or whoever made the decision wanted to separate the settlements and services line items. That makes a lot of sense to me. What I'm less clear about is why settlements ended up under the board out of the legal section.
I think because you guys have final approval, right?
Well, we have final approval over
Yes.
everything in
Yes.
the budget, so.
But
yeah.
specifically, when you talk about legal settlements, and if we have the legal department that's actually initiating and defending and whatever, we felt that because the board has the ultimate decision on what amount or what cases we are approving, it should fall under the board. Now, we did not consider leaving it under legal just because of it starts with legal.
If there's a different recommendation, we can take that.
Yeah, I'd strongly recommend moving it back under legal, as a separate line item, but back under legal. I don't know if we need to make a motion for that because it's kind of in the weeds of the budget, but I'm happy to do so if necessary.
We wouldn't need to right now.
We do?
No, I said not right now.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take that recommendation to the budget committee.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, I have one additional question. And so for record, the budget committee is meeting this month tomorrow. And so again, I asked Ms. Johnson or Superintendent Borshade, what is the expectation or timeline to get this in front of the budget committee? And is that the plan? Or is the plan to bypass that system and go directly to the board in 2 weeks for our business meeting?
So we can wait until the next budget meeting in November, or we can have an additional budget meeting in October and bring it at that time.
Because I mean, I assume like that is also in accordance to quarterly report timelines.
Yes.
That we're hoping to also implement in practice, right?
Yes,
Great, thank you.
you're welcome.
I had my question ready. Let me wait for it. One thing I wanted to make sure that we clarify is with our new financial policies, we all travel the same. We get the same travel policies as any employee of the district and Dr. Borshade. I don't think anybody's getting anything fancy. And we look at our credit card receipts now and make sure. So just to say that out loud. And when do we approve next year's budget? Is there any timeliness involved with us making changes to our own budget?
So according to our policy, we have to have it submitted, and it should be approved by June 1 of 2026.
Okay, so this is important, but not the most important thing on our plate.
It is important.
It is important,
Yeah.
not the
In terms
most
of
timely.
timeline. Yeah.
There's other things on our plate that
Yes.
need to be eaten first. Okay, and what quarter are we in right now?
We're ending the first quarter, and we will be presenting to the board, as A.J. Foster, Chairman Foster said, or Board Member Foster stated, we will be presenting quarterly budget reviews to everyone, not including the board. So when the quarter ends, we will present what the expenditures are for FY26 so far, first quarter. We'll talk about some of the items that you guys are expecting, like travel, if you're expecting to go more to conferences. And then we will confirm what changes to your FY26 budget you guys have voted on. This was simply for transparency. This should have happened before, when we were doing the budget. After the budget was approved in June by you guys, we sat down with every cabinet member and every school and went over their budget. We're doing this now a little late, but when we start to develop the FY27 budget, we will make sure that every single step you guys are involved with.
Okay, thank you.
So I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yes.
There was no bypassing, there was no sidestepping.
No, I don't
We followed the policy and we followed the calendar in terms of presenting your budget.
Yes, I agree. But the quarterly reports will not just be our little section of the budget, right?
No.
It will be the whole thing.
Yeah, it'll be the whole
Okay.
thing. But I will sit down with you guys to go over your quarterly for the board,
Okay,
just like we'll do for HR, we'll do for the superintendent.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. That concludes my reports.
Then we are now on to consent agenda discussions. Who's got something to talk about? Mr. Marson?
I have a few questions, few comments. Is it okay if I just sort of run through them, kind of from the? I'll run through. So I just wanted to note again that I see 6 donations and 9 community partners on the consent agenda. I want to say thank you to all of those organizations and volunteers and donors for supporting our students. And I believe those all come through our Development and Partnership Officer, Erin Kane. So thank you to her also. And Ms. Lewis. And Ms. Lewis. There are 2 of the items on the agenda, 12.21 and 12.24, were for college visits with our students, one to Memphis and one to Nashville. And that's being paid for by St. Louis Education Fund. So I wanted to say thank you to them and to their donors for making that opportunity possible for our students. And in particular, the Memphis trip includes a trip to the National Civil Rights Museum, and the Nashville trip includes a visit to the African American Music Museum. So whoever's planning these trips has excellent taste in museums. And if any, y'all should visit those places. They're excellent. Next, I think I've got 3 for Mr. Watson here. So one is 12.26, the Metro bus passes. And I just had this question, and other people might have the same question, which is, because obviously Zoom is our main transportation provider, but I was wondering, when do students use Metro bus passes instead of Zoom?
So we've been able to decrease the number of bus passes going into this year because of having transportation and buses. But there are, in some instances, in particular to our career and technical and education, for some of our students that may go half a day, and they may not have the they may not want to wait around until the buses arrive at the end of the day. Those bus passes are generally distributed to those students. because they oftentimes have work or home life that they need to attend.
So second question is concerning 12.28, which is the chiller maintenance and repair item. I was just wondering if you could explain how the Omnia Cooperative Purchasing Agreement works, because it's directly related to that vendor.
So with the Omnia purchasing agreement, that's oftentimes what we refer to as the co-op, which is a procurement, from a procurement lens. It allows us an open book, meaning that the state has procured these vendors, these particular vendors, and instead of doing a full RFP, we can go and use some of these cooperative, these agreements that the district is a part of several different co-op groups, such as Omni is one of them, and this particular vendor is a co-op vendor that we could utilize from a procurement standpoint.
Which means they've already gone through a process.
That
and
means
are
that they've
now
already
in-
gone through the process.
Okay.
And actually, my third question was already answered by the first presentation today. So it was about FEMA reimbursing for our relocation expenses related to the tornado. So that one's already been answered. So that's all my questions for today.
I want to add on very quickly to the college trips that I hope Jackson's day to Tougaloo gets added to the roster, just as a suggestion. I guess that's Mr. Henning. Mr. Conover.
Yeah, I just have a request to move items 1227, 1228, and 1234 as individual items for action for the October 14th meeting. Yep, you're good. 27, 28, and 34. Thank you.
So can I ask, how can we prepare for those items for the October 14th?
I'll send questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. What about on this side? Ms. Jones? Okay. Ms. Foster, do you have any questions?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Okay, great.
I'll make a motion to move the consent agenda. Oh, do we need to make that motion? We don't do
That's
that
fine
anymore.
with me.
As amended? Yeah. I'll make a motion to move the consent agenda as amended to the October 14th meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Vaughn, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
motion approved.
We appear to have no items for discussion. Items for information. Do we discuss these or just note that they're here? Okay. So we have support for finance and HR. A sign off that we've reviewed the credit card statement, and then we have purchasing card statements as well that are available for anyone's scrutiny. And now we have items for action. 15.1 is not showing up for me.
Dr. Borishay, could you voice this one over for us?
Yes, please.
Sure. So we use Diligent right now as our repository for our board agendas and board minutes and board items. And so as a result of that, we have to make sure that we are trained. Ms. Vaughn has been our expert on this, and she is requesting to go to another training so that she can continue to stay updated with diligence training. So again, this is a training that Ms. Vaughn will need to attend.
This is just we should make a motion first. I'll make a motion to approve the expense for the Elevate Atlanta 2026 Diligent Conference for Ms. Vaughn.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just quickly. I think just as a note, the docx files on the Diligent platform sometimes don't pop up on some of the browsers. So this is like the only one on the agenda that we can't really see on the browser. So just as a note for that. But. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Marson very kindly showed me on his browser that does work, so that was very helpful, yeah.
Yes. Dr. Borsche did it for me as well. Okay, I think we're ready for a vote.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Heights,
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
motion approved.
Okay. The next item is the tax rate. So we have had a tax rate hearing. I will note that our policy says you can have comments before the board, and I was the only board member there. It lasted 15 minutes and no one asked any questions. But if anyone wants to come speak to us, or send us an email, you absolutely can. And so we announced the tax meeting all over the place in plenty of time. And now we have a presentation or just the vote? Okay, I've got a presentation here. All right, and so we need to vote to approve the tax rate. So I need a motion.
I'll take a shot at it, and I will accept any corrections to the wording. I move to approve the 2025 total proposed tax rate of $4 and 90.85 cents per $100 assessed value.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, just for clarity, we do have a presentation attached to this agenda item. So are we expecting to get a presentation today or at the business meeting? Just again, informing community. Board Member Hubbard just mentioned that the meeting lasted 15 minutes in totality. So just wondering if we will hear about this in a different avenue for those who were not in attendance yesterday.
Yes, yesterday we went over the presentation at the hearing. I don't know that we'd have to, I mean, we could voice over it a little bit.
If you would like for our controller to do the presentation again, we can do that, but we did do the full presentation on yesterday. And we have a motion on the floor.
Okay, and I appreciate the motion on the floor. Again, making the note that this was still attached to the agenda. So the expectation for me at least was that we were getting a presentation, but again, I am the only person, so.
I will sum it up that because property valuations have gone up, people's taxes are going to feel higher, but SLPS is actually lowering our rate of tax, and we still expect to get more income than last year. Is that correct?
Awesome.
Yeah, I can add a few numerical details to that if people would like. Sort of as a property owner, I watch these things. So our proposed tax rate for 2025 is $4.91, and that is as compared to $4.99 last year. So that's lower. The rate is lower, but the overall assessed value for property in the city is up 7.9% compared to 2024. So Sort of depends probably on like where you live and what kind of car you have as to how that affects you. But the overall effect for our proposed revenue for the district is that it's a $15.5 million increase compared to 2024 for the revenue. But again, the rate is lower. It's that the assessed value is higher.
Awesome. Thank you, Board Member Marston and Board Member Hubbard.
And we thank all of our taxpayers for their support of the public school district.
Part of this is based on a 100% collection rate. We appreciate it if you pay your taxes.
I think Ms. Jones was ahead of me. Go ahead, Ms. Jones.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. I just want to note that the hearing that we conducted this time around broke pretty significantly from the way that hearing's been conducted in the past. I'm not sure that it's within the spirit of the law or our policy, and so I have to vote no on this even though we have to pass a tax rate. So I'm disappointed in that, but that's where we are at today.
I want to be abundantly clear that according to our policy, we need to make sure that we inform our community. We need to post it 7 days prior in at least 3 places and or in a local newspaper. We posted on September 11th, I want to say, or September 10th. We posted at 3 schools. We posted it on our websites. We posted at the central office, and we did have it in the local paper. We had a
Don't have to defend yourself.
we had a hearing on yesterday, and so if you would like for us to do another presentation today, we are more than willing to do that.
I don't think
That's not
that
my
will-
objection, but yeah.
It's not going to solve Ben's problem, but we will have
It
5
won't, yeah.
votes, so
Yep,
let's
thanks.
move ahead. So if that's all the discussion, Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
No.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
motion approved.
The next thing on the list is monthly financial reconciliation and monthly financial for July and August. I don't know how we do action on them. Or do we just accept them?
Yeah, you all had an opportunity to take a look at them, and so it will be a ratification.
Okay. So we need a ratification for item 15.3 and then one for 15.4.
I move to ratify the monthly financial reconciliation for, should I do it in one motion? Or do it in 2? For July of 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes.
Is this something that we've done historically, or is this a recommendation that came out of one of the audits?
It's definitely new.
And is it related to a recommendation that came out of an audit? That's what I was asking. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep,
greater
appreciate it.
scrutiny.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Vaughn? Oh, do you have something to say, Tracy?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yeah.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
motion approved.
I move to ratify the monthly reconciliation for August 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
motion approved.
Now we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yeah.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 8:45.